מקור חיים, כי ממך מקור חיים, כי ממך מקור חיים, ביאורך נראה אור, ביאורך נראה אור, ביאורך נראה אור, ביאורך נראה אור, ביאורך נראה אור. For with you is the source of life, for with you is the source of life, for with you is the source of life. In your light we see light, in your light do we see light, in your light do we see light, in your light do we see light, in your light we see light. כי ממך מקור חיים, כי ממך מקור חיים, כי ממך מקור חיים, ביאורך נראה אור, ביאורך נראה אור, ביאורך נראה אור, ביאורך נראה אור, ביאורך נראה אור. Wish to be where you want to be, wish to be where you want to be, wish to be where you want to be, wish to be where you are, wish to be where you are right now, wish to be where you are right now, wish to be where you are right now, wish to be where you are. For with you is the source of life, for with you is the source of life, for with you is the source of life. In your light we see light, in your light do we see light, in your light do we see light, in your light do we see light, in your light we see light. Wish to be who you want to be, wish to be who you want to be, wish to be who you want to be, wish to be who you are, wish to be who you are right now, wish to be who you are right now, wish to be who you are right now, wish to be who you are. כי ממך מקור חיים, כי עמך מקור חיים, כי עמך מקור חיים, באורך נראה אור, באורך נראה אור, באורך נראה אור, באורך נראה אור, באורך נראה
Where does my help?
Where does my help? Where does my help come from? I lift my eyes to the mountains. I lift my eyes to the mountains. I lift my eyes to the mountains.
Where does my help?
Where does my help? Where does my help come from? Oh, Esaena El Hehari Me'ayin Yavo Ezri. Oh, Esaena El Hehari Me'ayin Yavo Ezri. Esaena, I lift my eyes to the mountains. I lift my eyes to the mountains. I lift my eyes to the mountains.
Where does my help?
Where does my help?
Where does my help come from?
Oh, Esaena El Hehari Me'ayin Yavo Ezri. Oh, Esaena El Hehari Me'ayin Yavo Ezri. Esaena, my help comes from Adonai. My help comes from Adonai. My help comes from Adonai.
That's where my help.
That's where my help.
That's where my help comes from.
That's where my help.
That's where my help
That's where my help
comes from. Hayom harat olam, Hayom yamin bamishpat, Kol yitzurei olamim, Im kevanim, im kavadim, Im kevanim rachamenu kerachem aval banim, ve'im kavadim einenu lecha teluyo, ad shetechanenu v'totzi cha'or mishpatenu ayom kadosh.
Hayom harat olam, Hayom yami b'mishpat, Kol yitzurei olamim, Im kevanim, im kavadim, Im kevanim, Rachameinu, kerachem aval banim, Ve'im ka'avadim, eineinu, lecha teluyo, ad shetechanenu v'totzi chaor, mishpateinu ayom kadosh. Im kevanim rachameinu, kerachem aval banim, ve'im kavadim eineinu, lecha teluyo, ad shetechanenu v'totzi chaor, mishpateinu ayom kadosh.
Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, dai, dai, yadadai, dai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, dai, dai, yadadai, dai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, dai, dai, yadadai, dai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, I will build this world from love. And you can build this world from love. And if we build this world from love, then God will build this world from love. Olam chesed yibaneh. Olam chesed yibaneh.
Shana Tova, welcome back. It's great to be with each other this morning. For those who wear a talit, if you'd like to take it now and we can say the blessing together, it's on page 106 in the middle of the page. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lihitatef batzitzi.
Amen.
We continue with Ma Tovu on page 110.
Ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkanotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkanotecha Yisrael. Va'ani berov chastecha avo veitecha eshtacha ve'elchecha yoyirtecha. Ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkanotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkanotecha Yisrael. Adonai ahavti me'on metecha, umekom mishkan kevodecha, mishkan kevodecha. Va'ani eshtachaveh ve'echra'a evracha lifnei Adonai. Oh, see, ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkanotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkanotecha Yisrael. Va'ani tefilati lecha, Adonai et ratzon, Elohim berov chastecha, Elohim berov chastecha, aneni be'emet ishecha. Mishkanotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkanotecha Yisrael.
We continue on page 136 as we get ready to sound the shofar. I invite Don Pollock to lead us.
Shofar, the voice of community. Blessed are we, blessed our gathering, as we open our hearts to the voice of the shofar. Happy are we who hear its call to return, the sacred trumpet of Teshuvah. Blessed are we, held close by an ancient sound that echoes l'dor v'dor, from generation to generation. Happy are we, rising to the joyful cry of a new year. Blessed are we, who hear in these blasts the sound, the voice of community. Happy are we, who know its embrace, its season of celebration, its quest for connection and purpose. Holy is this gift of community, blessed the act of belonging.
Hear, O Israel, the divine abounds everywhere and dwells in everything. Its faces are infinite, its source suffuses all. The many are one.
Page 206. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lishmoa kol shofar. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Tekiah Shevarim teruah Tekiah.
Blessed is the soul-reaching sound of the shofar. It proclaims the purpose of this day. Blessed is community, source of joy, solace, and strength to every living soul. And now a message from our Jewish Federation.
Shana Tova. My name is Jason Moss, and I'm the Executive Director of the Jewish Federation of the Greater San Gabriel and Pomona Valleys. I was really hoping to deliver this year's High Holiday greeting in person, but sadly, COVID, once again, is dictating how we celebrate and observe this year's High Holy Days. I want to tell you how amazed I have been this past year watching the unbelievable creativity, ingenuity, and incredible efforts being made by my colleagues to help keep people connected through the programs and services that were offered by our local synagogues and in the Jewish community. In a recent interview, Mark Wilf, Jewish Federation of North America's president, shared the following words which I think capture what many of us have been feeling. He said, quote, "I think if we've learned anything these past 2 years, it is that it's not necessarily the shiny objects that get you through the most challenging times. That's why you need community. That's why you need togetherness." This is what the Jewish Federation strives to do each day. By working together with our community partners like your synagogue, we strengthen and enhance Jewish life locally through the programs and services we provide, while continuing to serve as the Jewish voice in our community when issues arise. I know that many of us are still feeling a sense of uncertainty right now, but during these difficult times, thankfully, our tradition has an incredibly rich collection of teachings that we can use for guidance and support. Included in Pirkei Avot are 2 teachings by 2 of our great rabbinic sages that are very applicable and important to remember today. Rabbi Tarfon states, quote, "It is not up to us to finish the work, yet we are not free to avoid it." And Rabbi Hillel tells us, "Do not separate yourself from the community." Taken in tandem, we are reminded of the power being a part of a community can bring each of us. And even though we may not be able to solve a problem, we are still obligated to do our part and work towards its completion because of our responsibility to and for one another. In the year ahead, may each of us commit to help make our community stronger through our individual efforts. On behalf of myself, as well as the Jewish Federation's Board of Governors and staff, I want to wish you and your entire family L'Shana Tova Imutuka. May each and every one of us be inscribed and sealed in the Book of Life for a good year. And may 5782 be a year that is filled with only happiness, joy, and good health. And once again, Shana Tova.
We continue on page 141 with Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitkadal Ve'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah Ve'alma Divera Hirutei Ve'amlich Malchutei B'chayechon uvyomechon Uv'chayei Techol Bet Yisrael B'gala Uv'izman Kariv Ve'imeru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rambam Mevorach Le'olam Ul'olmei Almaya Yid Barach Yid Barach Ve'yishtabach Ve'yitpa'ar Ve'yitromam Ve'yitnasei Ve'yithalal Ve'yitaleh Ve'yithalal Shemei Dekudesha B'richu Leila uleila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiran ve'alma ve'imeru
We continue on page 142 with Baruch Hu, our call to prayer. If you're able to rise and the way your setup is for these virtual High Holy Days works, please rise.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
We continue on the bottom of page 144 with Or Chadash.
Or Chadash al Zion Ta'ir v'nizkechu lanu mera le'orod. Baruch ata Adonai Yotzer HaMeorot.
We continue in the middle of page 148.
V'havienu l'shalom me'arba kanfot ha'aretz v'tolichenu komemiut le'artzenu ki el poel yeshuot ata uvana v'charta mikol am v'lashon v'keravtanu l'shimcha hagadol sela be'emet lehodot lecha u'liechadcha be'ahava Baruch ata Adonai Habocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava.
We continue with Shema Yisrael on page 150, and then we'll turn the page and continue with Ve'ahavta. Cantor Bush will chant it in the High Holy Day trope.
נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Bottom of page 163, Remember the Stories. Cynthia Bassett will lead us.
Remember the stories of slavery, and you will never stop working for freedom. Remember their fear at the edge of the sea, and self-doubt will never defeat you. Remember when desperation turned to celebration, and you will never let go of hope. Remember the words of Baal Shem Tov. Forgetfulness leads to exile. Remembrance is the secret of redemption.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות, עושה פלא, נורא תהילות, עושה פלא, עושה פלא, שירה חדשה שבחו גאולים, לשמך על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות, עושה פלא, נורא תהילות, עושה פלא, עושה פלא.
We continue with Sur Yisrael, last Hebrew paragraph on page 164.
Israel, Kuma Be'ezrat Yisrael, V'odechinu mechayehuda v'Yisrael Goleinu Adonai Tzebaot Shemo Kadosh Yisrael Baruch Ata Adonai Kol Yisrael Atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Leah Elohei Rachel Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Omel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chasvei Avot V'Imahot U'Mevii Gilon Ibnei V'Reihem Leman Shemo Ve'Ahava Sofreinu L'chaim Melech Hafetz Ha'chaim V'chotreinu B'Sefer Ha'im L'Malachah Elohim Melech Hozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מכלכל חיים בחסד, בחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לישני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממין ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. מי כמוך אל הרחמים, זוכר יצוריו לחיים ורחמים.
We turn to page 174, and in a moment we'll engage with the text of Unatana Tokef, the long list of all the things that are unpredictable that could happen in our lives, and those three things, teshuvah, tefillah, tzedakah, that are in our hands. The ability to choose our response, the embrace of community, and the ability to create a more just and gentle world. 174.
Unatana Tokef Kiddushat Hayom Kivun Oro Ve'ayom sunshine, who in the nighttime, and who by high ordeal, who by common trial, who in your merry, merry month of May, who by very slow decay, and who shall I say is called? And who in her lonely slip, by barbiturate, who in these realms of love, who by something blunt, and who by avalanche, who by powder, who for his greed, who for his hunger, and who shall I say is called? accident? Who in solitude? Who in this mirror? Who by his lady's command? Who by his own hand? Who in mortal chains? Who in power? And who shall I say is calling? Join me on this last line, please. And who shall I say is calling? Once more, a little louder. And who shall I say is calling?
We continue on page 176. Steve Eli will lead us.
Shana Tova. And so a great shofar will cry, Tekiah! A still small voice will be heard. Angels, in a whirl of fear and trembling, will say, Behold the day of judgment, for they too are judged. In your eyes even they are not blameless. All who come into the world pass before you, like sheep before their shepherd, as a shepherd considers the flock when it passes beneath the staff. You count and consider every life. You set bounds, you decide destiny, you inscribe the judgments.
Kevakarat roed ro ma'avir tzono tachat shivto ken tavir v'tispor v'timne v'tivkod nefesh kol chai v'tachto kitzboch lechol bria v'tiktov et gazar dinam.
We continue on the top of page 179, and Deborah Norden will lead us.
On Rosh Hashanah, we plunge like swimmers into a sea of worlds. On Yom Kippur, the sea rises, then crests, and we emerge, sealed by the wax, warmed by the fire of braided candle. The new year is like a trailhead, opening wide before us, the day of fasting, narrow, breathless, so quick to close. We contemplate a new year, and this we know.
Rosh Hashanah yikateru, u'yom tzom kippur yikaterun. Rosh Hashanah yikateru, u'yom tzom kippur yikaterun.
Kama yavru v'chama yibarreun mi yicheu mi yamut mi v'kitzo u'mi lo v'kitzo.
Rosh Hashanah yikateru, u'yom tzom kippur yikaterun. Rosh Hashanah yikateru, u'yom tzom kippur yikaterun.
Mi ba'esh u'mi v'mayim, mi v'cherem u'mi v'chaya, mi v'rav u'mi v'tzama, בחרש ומי במגפה מי בחייקה ומי בסקילה
בראש השנה יקראתנו וביום צום כיפור יקראתנו בראש השנה יקראתנו וביום צום כיפור יקראתנו
מי ינוח ומי ינוח מי שקט ומי יתעורף מי יתשלב ומי יתייסר מי יהיה עני ומי יהיה עשיר מי יושפל ומי ירום
בראש השנה יקראתנו וביום צום כיפור יקראתנו בראש השנה יקראתנו וביום צום כיפור יקראתנו
We continue in the middle of page 179. Karen Rosenthal will lead us.
Even so, the way we act, the way we speak, the way we meet God's image in ourselves and in others, these things have great power to make our lives matter. Therefore, let us make whole the broken shards, green and thick the withering grass. Let the wind fill us with urgency for life. Let dreams give birth to justice and goodness. God of holiness, God of hope, let us glimpse your truth as we attach our hope to yours.
But through return to the right path, through prayer and righteous giving, we can transcend the harshness of the decree.
ותשובה ותפילה וצדקה מעבירים את רוח הגזרה ותשובה ותפילה וצדקה
We continue top of page 182.
Adam, 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 Yisodo ve'afar, ve'sofo le'afar. בנפשו יביא לחמו, משול כחרס הנשבר, כחציר יבש וכציץ נובל, כצל עובר וכנען קלה, וכרוח נושבת וחבק פורח, וכחלום Yauf. We are mortal, our origin is dust, and so is our end. We wear out our lives to get our bread, like broken vessels, like withered grass, like a flower that must fade. a shadow moving on, a cloud passing by, mere dust on the wind, a dream that flies away.
We continue on page 184. We continue on the bottom of page 192 with Kadosh Atah.
Kadosh Atah v'norash shemecha v'neloa mibaladecha kakatuv vayikbar Adonai tzvaot b'mishpat v'ha'el hakadosh nigdash b'tzedakah Ay, da, 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 da. Ay, da, 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 da. Lie, da, 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 da. Yai, da, 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 ya, da, 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 da. Ay, da, da, yai, da, 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 da. Yai, da, 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 ya, da, 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 da. Yai, da, 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 ya, da, 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 da. Yai, da, 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 yai, da, 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 da. Baruch atah Adonai HaMelech HaKadosh.
We continue on page 196.
Our God and God of the generations before us, may a memory of us ascend and come before you. May it be heard and seen by you, winning your favor and reaching your awareness. Together with the memory of our ancestors, the memory of your sacred city, Jerusalem, and the memory of your people, the family of Israel, may we be remembered for safety, well-being, and favor, for love and compassion, for life and for peace on this day of remembrance.
Zochreinu Adonai Eloheinu bo letova.
Amen.
Ufokdeinu vo livracha.
Amen.
Ve'oshienu lechai.
Amen. I would now like to invite Stephanie Kuba to share some words with you.
Boker Tov, good morning, everyone. I'm honored to share a reflection with you today about what TBI means to me. I was born and raised in Claremont and moved to LA after college. I was not raised with any religious upbringing, as my parents wanted me to make my own decision about my spirituality. I'm so glad they did that. However, it took me 5.5 decades for me to find that path. In 2017, my spouse and I ended up moving to Claremont from LA to help care for my parents. My spouse, as a Jew, was very concerned about moving away from our very Jewish West Side neighborhood. We conferred with our friends, Jack and Diane Schuster, who then introduced us to TBI. TBI made a great first impression. There was a gay flag in the office window, which was a huge sign of inclusion for us as a lesbian couple. Our very first service was a shul band service. I loved the music. It really spoke to me. And at the Oneg, the clergy and the congregants were very warm and friendly. We started exploring the programs offered at TBI. After our first year of Shabbat services and participating in tons of activities and making lots of new friends, I began to feel my first bout of Jewish guilt. We were getting so much from our involvement with TBI. So we dug deep and decided to become members and literally put our money where our brains and hearts were. In 2018, I took the Introduction to Judaism course, as I had made a promise to my spouse I would learn more about Judaism. I was not planning on converting, but I changed my mind because of what I learned in the class and how I saw Judaism playing out in front of me live at TBI. My experience with our clergy as I began my journey was very meaningful, and I will forever be grateful to them. The cantor guided me through the class and encouraged me every step of the way. And as I began to seriously consider converting, I met with the rabbi. I had some questions and concerns, but his guidance, patience, and understanding helped me so much. After several sessions with Rabbi Jonathan, I felt certain that becoming a Jew was the right step for me. TBI is now essentially a part of my spiritual formation. Not only do I have two amazing guides in the rabbi and cantor, I also have my other Jews by choice and Jews by birth at TBI who are such a big part of my spiritual journey. But this is not the only reason why I love TBI. There was something else very intense that happened. My spouse's father died between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur in 2019. The rabbi, the cantor, and many congregants showed up for the Shiva Minyan. People we knew and people we were meeting for the very first time. It was so moving to be with everyone and to feel the love and support. It was healing. We were both blown away by the TBI community. And then the pandemic hit, and TBI mobilized to come through for her congregants with online offerings. I had been trying to help out with the Adult Jewish Learning Program and then was asked to help out more by joining the Board of Trustees. This role has given me an entirely new perspective on TBI. I cannot believe how much we accomplished with such a lean budget, even as a nonprofit. This is a lean budget. We are so lucky to have our rabbi and cantor, our senior staff, and our lay leaders. They dig deep for us. They give us every ounce of their time and talent. I challenge all of us to dig deep too and provide the financial support we need to keep TBI strong into the future. I can honestly say that my connection to TBI has been life-changing. I volunteer and I donate to TBI in order to ensure that others will be able to have the kind of life-changing experience I've been able to have here. Thanks to TBI, I am a proud Jew. Thanks to TBI, I know what it feels like to be a real member of a community. Thanks to TBI, I know what it feels like to give until it feels great. Please join me so that you too can feel great by giving even more to TBI. The annual High Holiday Pledge Drive is an important part of our budget. Please give as generously as you can to keep TBI moving forward. You may access a link on your screen or in the chat or in our online communication, or just contact the TBI office to respond to this High Holy Day appeal. Thank you and Shana Tova.
Thank you, Stephanie, so very much. I hope everybody will give generously to support our Temple Beth Israel community. We now turn to page 200 in our Machzor, and I invite Ted and Susan Goldstein to lead us.
Shana Tova. We are stiff-necked and stubborn. Teach us to bend before you.
Convinced we're right, entrenched in our own perspective, we resist your call to repent.
Convinced we're self-sufficient, entrenched in the illusion of control, we resist your call to humility.
Convinced we can have it all, entrenched in the dream of mastering the world, we resist your call to wake up.
Today you summon us out of our arrogance, out of rigidity, fantasy, shallowness, self-deception.
Teach us to bend our knees, to bow our heads before the mystery, to realize our frailty and finitude.
Teach us to make you Melech, sovereign in our life, to align ourselves with your goodness and truth. We would not bow before Pharaoh. We would not bow before the Persian Lord. We would not submit to any power on earth or give ourselves to any material thing. But we, the Jewish people, stiff-necked, stubborn to the end, today we bow before you.
Page 202, we now turn to Aleinu Gadol, the great Aleinu. We have become familiar with Aleinu because it's one of the closing prayers in all of our services. But this is where it originates, from the Rosh Hashanah liturgy, the Malchuyot shofar section, the kingship shofar section of our Rosh Hashanah Day liturgy. And so we continue with Aleinu Gadol.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol laten gedula leotzem bereshit שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל Hamonam Vanachnu Koreim Umishmachavim Umodim.
We continue on page 205 in the middle of the page. Dina Lane will lead us.
Dwell on each sound of the shofar. Contemplate its meaning. Tikiyah, one whole note. Shvarim Teruah, 3 broken notes, 9 staccato notes. Tikiyah, one whole note. My return to the right path has the power to make me whole again. Tikiyah, once I was whole. Shvarim Teruah. In the wear and tear of living, I became broken and shattered. Tikiyah, my tshuva, has the power to make me whole again.
There is a well-known saying that is particularly meaningful on these holy days. You live on purpose, or you live by accident. Too much of the time we live by accident. Maimonides speaks powerfully against living a life by accident. He insists we listen closely to the shofar, declaring, "Wake yourselves from your sleep, arouse yourselves from your slumber." The shofar stirs us and demands that we ask ourselves, are we living our lives with meaning and with purpose?
Tekiyah Shvarim Teruah Tekiyah Tekiyah Shvarim Tekiyah Tekiyah Teruah Tekiyah.
Page 214. One of the highlights of our Rosh Hashanah Day and Yom Kippur Day services here at TBI is the priestly blessing when we turn to each other and offer God's blessing on one another. It's one of those things that we may feel particularly a loss of today as we're not able to physically be together. But I hope that each of us still feels that we can be a conduit of blessing and bring God's blessing into the world, and that we all feel each other's presence at this time.
Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu Barucheinu b'bracha hamshuleshet haktuva b'Torah ha'amura mipi kohanim am kedoshcha ka'amur.
page 217, I invite Toyasha Sabag to lead us.
Let the pursuit of peace and justice be our highest good, and may all people make peace their responsibility. Let Torah be a light that guides our lives toward empathy and understanding, toward generosity of heart. Let peace be our passion, chief among our prayers, every season of the year, every hour of the day.
וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך בספר חיים ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה ייזכר וניכתב לפניך אנחנו וכל עמך בית ישראל לחיים טובים ולשלום. ברוך אתה אדוני עושה השלום.
Please take a moment for silent prayer for the text of your own heart. After our silent prayer, Dr. Randy Polivoy and Rachel Wang will offer a selection called Simchas Torah by Ernest Bloch. middle of page 220.
Ose shalom bimroma uyase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel ve'al kol Yoshvei tevel.
We continue on page 224 with Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, we stand in awe, we draw close in love. Avinu Malkeinu, the power that passes through us and pervades all things. Avinu Malkeinu, the divine that is present within and among us. Avinu Malkeinu Shema Kolenu, we speak this sacred truth aloud. Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lifanecha, we stand as one, accountable for our sins. Avinu Malkeinu Chamol Aleinu Ve'al ol aleinu v'tapenu. We yearn for true compassion, for our children most of all. Avinu Malkeinu kale dever v'cherev v'ra'av me'aleinu. May we resist the ravages of illness, fear, and despair. Avinu Malkeinu kale kol tsar umastin me'aleinu. Let us summon courage to withstand our enemies. Avinu Malkeinu kotvenu b'sefer chayim tovim. Let the goodness of this gift of life be engraved upon our hearts. Avinu Malkeinu chadesh aleinu shana tova. May we taste anew the sweetness of each day. Avinu Malkeinu malei yadenu mivirchotecha. Let us wake up to the blessings already in our grasp. Avinu Malkeinu chonenu ve'anenu, ki ein manu ma'asim, aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed, v'hoshienu. However small our deeds, let us see their power to heal. May we save lives through compassion, generosity, and justice.
Avinu Malkeinu, Konenu Vanenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Konenu Vanenu,
We are now going to take a short break, stretch, get yourself, if you want, a little bit of apples and honey or something to celebrate this new year, and we'll be back at 11:45.
May you be like our ancient brothers and live with peace and kindness. May you be like our ancient mothers, live bravely and be strong. May you be most importantly like you. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yaseh lecha shalom. Yivarechecha, shine through you. Yivarechecha, keep safe and true, and help you to feel whole. Yivarechecha, shine through you. Yivarechecha, keep safe and true. V'yaseh lecha shalom. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yaseh lecha shalom. Yivarechecha, shine through you. Yivarechecha, keep safe and true, and help you to feel whole. Yivarechecha, shine through you. Yivarechecha, keep safe and true. V'yaseh lecha shalom. Shine through you. 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 Yivarechecha, shine through you. Yivarechecha, keep safe and true, and help you to feel whole. Yivarechecha, shine through you. Yivarechecha, keep safe and true. V'yaseh lecha shalom. V'yaseh lecha shalom. V'yaseh lecha shalom.
Rosh Hashanah here, leave a message.
Hey RH, it's me. If you're there, pick up. I was just looking at the Hebrew calendar, and I see you coming up, and I can't wait to celebrate. You are the head of the new year. I'm so glad you're coming near. Is that a shofar that I hear being blown? I want you to inscribe me in your book of life. You're the honey to my hive. 'Cause I gotta love you, Rosh Hashanah. I cannot wait for 5768. You're my favorite holiday. I like to celebrate. I got an apple to dip and many shevets to sip on. 'Cause I gotta love you, Rosh Hashanah. Kippur leaves me feeling empty inside. Passover reminds me of the tears that we cried. But I don't wanna think about our tragic history, oh no. 'Cause I'm coming home for Rosh Hashanah. You are so sweet, Rosh Hashanah. All the apples we eat, Rosh Hashanah. You make me feel so complete, oh no. 'Cause I'm coming home for Rosh Hashanah. R to the O to the S to the H, the H-A-S-H-A-N-A-H. R to the O to the S to the H, the H-A-S-H-A-N-A-H, R to the O to the S to the H to the H-A-S-H-A-N-A-H, R to the O to the S to the H to the H-A-S-H-A-N-A-H, R to the O to the S to the H to the H-A-S-H-A-N-A-H, R to the O to the S to the H to the H-A-S-H-A-N-A-H, R to the O to the S to the H to the H-A-S-H-A-N-A-H, R to the O to the S to the H to the H-A-S-H-A-N-A-H.
שוב שעת 40 ואין כל בשורה ממך. הרחובות לבשו חג אך פניי נותרו עירומות מוכתמות במבוכה. שומר נפשי אם בדרכי חטאתי רע, כן גלה בי נתיבך, אך קרבתך ממני אל תמנענה. אנא אפנה בבקשי מבטך are loved, loved, and loved by an unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by an unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by an unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by an unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by an unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by an unending love. Open up my heart. I know I am loved. I know I am loved. Open up my heart. I know I am We continue on page 227 for our Torah service. Our Torah service will look a little bit different this year. Our Torah readers will all be from our Torah reading archives, and so you'll see some of our young people who aren't quite so young anymore, but were when they read Torah. It'll be a special treat, and we hope you enjoy it and participate from home.
Ein kamocha Elohim Adonai, ve'ein kema'asecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, umshaltecha bechol dor vador. Adonai melech, Adonai Adonai Yevarech et Amo Bashalom. Harachamim Hetiva Virtzoncha et Zion Tivnei Chamot Yerushalayim Tivnei Chamot Yerushalayim Kivaka Levad Batachnu Melech Eram Benisa Adon Olami.
Top of page 228.
Adonai Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Benora Shemo. Lecha Adonai HaGedola VeHaGevura VeHaTiferet VeHaNetzach VeHaHod Mikol HaShamayim V'Haaretz Mikol HaShamayim Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai, Baruch Baruch Shemo. Amen.
Amen. Vayhi achar hadvarim ha'elech veha Elohim nisa et Abraham vayomer elav Abraham vayomer hineni vayomer chachna et bincha et yehidecha asher ahavta et Yitzchak v'lech lecha el eretz hamoria.
V'ha'alehu sham la'ola al echad ha'harim asher omar elecha vayashkem Avraham baboker vaychavosh et chamoro vayikach et shnei ne'arav ito ve'et Yitzchak beno vayivaka עצי עולה, ויקום וילך אל המקום אשר אמר לו האלוהים.
ביום השלישי וישא אברהם את עיניו וירא את המקום מרחוק. ויאמר אברהם אל נעריו, שבו לכם פה עם החמור, ואני והנער נלכה עד כה.
ונשתחווה ונשיבה עליהם. ויקח אברהם את עצי העולה, וישם על יצחק בנו, ויקח בידו את האש ואת המאכלת, וילכו שניהם יחדיו. ויאמר יצחק אל אברהם אביו, ויאמר אבי, ויאמר הנני בני, ויאמר הנה האש והעצים ויעשה לעולה. ויאמר אברהם אלוהים ירא לו עשה לעולה בני, וילכו שניהם יחדיו. ויבואו אל המקום אשר אמר לו האלוהים. ויבן שם אברהם את המזבח, ויערוך את העצים, ויעקוד את יצחק בנו, וישם אותו על המזבח ממעל לעצים.
וישלח אברהם את ידו, ויקח את המאכלת לשחוט את בנו. ויקרא אליו מלאך אדוני מן השמיים, ויאמר אברהם אברהם, ויאמר הנני.
ויאמר אל תשלח ידך אל הנער ואל תעשה לו מהומה, כי אתה ידעתי כי ירא אלוהים אתה, ולא חסכת את בנך יחידך ממני. וישא אברהם את עיניו וירא, והנה איל ההר נאחז בסבך בקרניו. וילך אברהם ויקח את האיל, ויעלהו לעולה תחת בנו. ויקרא אברהם שם המקום ההוא אדוני יראה, אשר יאמר היום בהר אדוני יראה. ויקרא מלאך אדוני אל אברהם שני מן השמיים, ויאמר בי נשבעתי נאום אדוני, כי יען אשר עשית את הדבר הזה, ולא חסכת את בנך יחידך, כי ברכך בהרבה הרבה את זרעך ככוכבי השמיים, וכאהוב אשר על שפת הים, וירש זרעך את שער אויביו, והתברכו בצרעך כל גויי הארץ, עקב אשר שמעת בקולי. וישוב אברהם אל נעריו
Vayakumu, Vayelchu yachda el be'er shava, Vayeshev Avraham be'er shava. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam, nota b'tuchenu. Baruch atah Adonai
Baruch Shemo.
noten haTorah.
Amen.
We continue on page 244 with Misha Berach. We turn our thoughts and our hearts to all of those in our community and in our lives in need of healing of body, of mind, and of spirit. If you're thinking of someone in particular and you're watching on our Facebook feed, feel free to type the person you're thinking of in the chat box so we can all hold them with you.
Mishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak Ve'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel ve'Leah Hu Yivarech et Hacholim Elna Refana La Elna Refana
According to Jewish tradition, compassion is a central attribute of God. This Rosh Hashanah morning, we heard the words chanted before we took the Torah out of the ark, Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanum. Adonai, Adonai, God compassionate and gracious. We think of compassion as a feeling, but it is much more than that. The Hebrew word for compassion is rachamim. It's connected to the word rechem, which means womb. We are not only to feel for others, but to care about them as if they came from us. as if they were our own children. Our tradition teaches that God cannot or chooses not to be everywhere, so God created us, human beings, God's partners, to be in each other's lives, to be present, to listen, to comfort, to care. My colleague, Rabbi Laura Geller, shared this experience. Recently, a congregant came to see me about his elderly widowed mother-in-law. He and his wife had recently decided that her mother should no longer be living alone in Florida, so they brought her out to Los Angeles to live with them and their teenage daughter. He told me that his wife was increasingly impatient with how slowly her mother moved, how loud she needed the television to be. She was angry with her mother much of the time, and while he understood her anger, he felt like it was making the situation worse. He asked for help finding support services to lighten their load, and for some Jewish wisdom to help them think about their choices. Rabbi Geller told them the well-known Jewish folk tale about the wooden bowl. A frail old man went to live with his son, daughter-in-law, and young grandson. The family ate together at the table, but the elderly grandfather's shaky hands and failing sight made eating difficult. The son complained, "I've had enough of spilled milk, noisy eating, and food on the floor." So the husband and wife sent the grandfather to eat in his room. And since he had broken a dish or two, his food was served in a wooden bowl. One evening before supper, the father noticed his son playing with wood scraps on the floor. He asked his son, "What are you making?" The boy responded, "Oh, I'm making a wooden bowl for you so that you can eat your food when you get old." You know the end of the story. The parents brought the grandfather back to the table. Neither the husband nor the wife seemed to care anymore about spilled milk. A sweet story. It does not deny the difficulty of the situation, but it responds with compassion and out of the truth that parents will someday get old and frail. Taking a breath before getting angry, being less impatient, more understanding is not always easy, especially with those closest to us, our parents, partners, and children. Perhaps it's because they remind us of our own imperfect selves. The Talmud teaches us that Jews are to be rachamim b'nei rachamim, compassionate children of compassionate parents. To be Jewish means to be a blessing, to open our hearts and our hands to those who need us. Our world is filled with suffering and injustice. We can feel overwhelmed by the magnitude of the tragedies and feel helpless to respond. As I watch the events that unfold around the world on my television screen, it feels overwhelming. I sometimes suffer from compassion fatigue and feel like I need to look away. Elie Wiesel teaches that the opposite of good is not evil, it is indifference. It is remaining silent. It is saying, I don't care enough to speak out, even in the face of suffering and injustice. As Jews, we must be compassionate. We must care. Our history, our Torah, our God demanded of us. We have been slaves, outsiders, immigrants throughout our history. Our Torah reminds us, love the strangers, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. We know what it's like to be seen as the other, vilified, persecuted. The Haftarah for Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the Jewish year, is from the book of Isaiah. It reads, "This is the fast I desire, to unlock the shackles of injustice, to loosen the ropes of the yoke. Surely it is to share your bread with the hungry and take the poor into your home. When you see the naked, clothe them." God has no desire to see us piously fast and pray unless we turn to one another with care and compassion. Our Torah teaches, tzedek, tzedek tirdof, justice, justice shall you pursue. So when we see injustice in our own country, it is our responsibility, our sacred duty, to raise our voices and work for change. Each of us should create a justice list this year. What moves you to action? How can you bring more justice, more compassion, more healing to the world this year? Your priorities and approaches may be different than mine, but here are a few of my concerns that call me to speak out this year. Perhaps some of them are on your list as well. I cannot turn a blind eye to the hateful rhetoric targeting immigrants, asylum seekers, refugees, and my undocumented neighbors. I will work for an America that seeks to be a beacon of hope for people all over the world. Silence is not an option for me when women's reproductive rights are being greatly restricted by lawmakers, taking away choices from women and their doctors. I'm appalled to see so many states rushing to pass legislation that will make voting more difficult for the young, the elderly, people of color, and the poor. People struggled and died for the right to vote. All work to see that voting rights are protected and expanded. I get angry and won't be silent when reasonable gun violence prevention measures cannot pass Congress, even when 2021 is expected to be the worst year for gun deaths in the last 2 decades. Climate change is an existential threat to us and our planet. We are already seeing its devastating impacts, most recently in the devastation of Hurricane Ida and the vast destruction from the Caldor fire here in California. The UN's latest climate report lays this out very starkly. We must act boldly before it's too late. I will work for legislation to cut emissions and to support those workers who will be dislocated as we move away from fossil fuels. Inequality in our criminal justice system and continuing racism are a stain on our democracy. I will work for criminal justice reform, like California's time done bill currently before the state legislature, that will make it easier for those who have served their sentences and parole to qualify for housing and jobs, enabling them to better integrate into our society. And I will work for greater equity in education, jobs, housing, and throughout our society. Rising anti-Semitism and anti-Israel rhetoric threatens the safety of American Jews. Fighting these disturbing trends is high on my justice list. Jewish tradition teaches that we are judged by how we care for the most vulnerable among us. On Yom Kippur, we will fast to raise our sensitivity to those whose hunger is ongoing. Issues of hunger, poverty, and homelessness are on my list. These are a few of my concerns, and I'm proud to say that our reform movement is at the forefront of all of these issues. Rabbi Rick Jacobs, president of the Union for Reform Judaism, wrote, "This is the season of the Jewish New Year, when we sound the shofar. It is sounded to awaken us from a slumber, to hear the cries of those in pain, and to build a better world for all." A favorite story. According to Jewish legend, every person has a soul which is stored in heaven until the moment when he or she is destined to be born. Then it enters the body and lives in the world, and when the time comes for the person to die, the soul leaves the body and ascends to heaven. There the soul is judged, the person's life is reviewed. If the life included more good deeds than sins, more goodness and kindness and other virtues than evil, the soul is welcomed into heaven. But if the life included more sins than good deeds, then the soul is sent to hell for some time. Once there arrived before the throne of judgment a soul whose goodness and sins were exactly balanced. No one could figure out what to do. The soul could not be sent on to heaven. It was not worthy. The soul could not be sent down to hell. It wasn't guilty. After much deliberation, it was decided that this soul would be given the opportunity to visit both heaven and hell and choose its own destiny. So an angel took the soul on a tour of the 2 realms. They journeyed first to hell. Hell wasn't anything like what the soul had imagined. It was beautiful. A magnificent mansion was set on a luxuriant lawn. In the mansion, the soul was taken through halls and rooms, each more splendid than the next, and finally shown to the grand banquet room. In the middle of the room was a huge table, laden with a feast the likes of which the soul had never dreamed. There were delicacies of every sort, piled high on rich golden platters, pitchers of fine wines and sweet nectars, tureens of savory soups, and desserts beyond description. It was without a doubt the world's greatest feast. Makes me hungry now. You know, I'm not telling this story on Yom Kippur. A waiter entered and rang a small bell. Into the room came the inhabitants of hell. To the surprise of the soul, they were emaciated, sickly, starved, and crying out in pain. How could this be given such a feast? How could they live in the presence of such plenty, yet look so hungry and forlorn? And then the soul saw how. The inhabitants of hell could not bend their elbows. They could grasp at the fabulous food, but they could not put it in their mouths. And so they groaned and moaned in hunger and bitter frustration as the magnificent feast lay untouched before them. The soul felt their anguish and begged to be taken away. A moment later, the soul entered heaven. To his astonishment, it was identical to hell. The same lush lawn, the same great mansion, the same elegant halls, even the same grand banquet room. As in hell, the table was laden with platters and pitchers and plates of wonderful delicacies. When a waiter entered and rang the same small bell, the soul braced for another scene of frustration and torture. But when the inhabitants of heaven entered, they were different. They were healthy and joyful. They laughed and sang. Even more astonishingly, the people of heaven suffered the same malady as their counterparts in hell. They too were stiff-armed, unable to bend their elbows. How then, wondered the soul, were they so well fed? And why were they so happy? As he watched, he beheld the one and only difference between heaven and hell. As the people of heaven approached the table, instead of grasping the food for themselves, they turned and fed their neighbors. And in that way, they enjoyed all the delicacies and all the delights of God's world. There is only one thing that separates heaven, the greatest place, from hell, the worst of places. And that is how we treat one another. If we are prepared to turn to one another in compassion, we can have heaven. If not, we make our world a living hell. The choice, my dear friends, is in our hands. The Shana Tova Tikatevu. May we all be sealed for a good year in the book of life.
Teach me to number my days, fill my heart with wisdom. Teach me to measure the ways, to be mindful for each day. Teach us to number our days, fill our hearts with wisdom. Teach us to measure the ways, to be grateful for each day. Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva. Kadesh Yameinu Yameinu Teach me to fill all my days with hope and vision. Teach me to measure the ways, lift my heart with hope and dreams.
We continue on page 267 with the Zichronot section, the remembrance section of our shofar service. In the middle of the page, Christy Teague will lead us.
God of remembrance, remember the covenant of our ancestors. We reaffirm it today. Remember, we are a people of noble ideals. Help us attain them. Remember all your people, all the nations on the road to peace. Bless their efforts. Remember with mercy the binding of Isaac, the sorrow of Sarah, Abraham's words, "Here I am." Our memory fades, but you remember all that we have forgotten. Your presence is a throne where all things matter and nothing is lost. Shana Tova.
Ki zocher kol nishkachon ata me'olam ve'en shichecha lifnei ki seich vodecha Baruch ata Adonai Zocher HaBerit. Tekiah Shivarim Teruah Tekiah Tekiah Shivarim Tekiah Tekiah Teruah Tekiah.
We continue on page 270 with the prayer for our congregation led by Chuck and Candy Fisher.
Eternal Presence, who blessed our mothers and fathers, bless this holy congregation, a house of study, prayer, and righteous deeds.
Together we give thanks for our leaders who learn, teach, and uphold the Torah, inspiring others to learn, teach, and uphold the Torah, those who do the sacred work of building our community. May their service bring them joy, fulfillment, and purpose, and may they go from strength to strength.
For our members, diverse in age, interest, and background, Jews by birth and Jews by choice, and those of other faiths who join with us, all who offer their time and talent, their love and commitment.
For all who come here on this holy day of Rosh Hashanah to share the search for meaning and renewal, your presence is a blessing, your friendship a gift.
May the spirit of peace, dignity, and respect live within these walls, inspiring us to care for one another with compassion, and may we be a source of goodness, light, and healing for the world.
May the one who blessed generations before us bless us as we stand together this day. One congregation joined with all Jewish communities of the world through our prayers on this festival of the new year.
Let us renew ourselves for the year ahead. Let us honor the precious legacy that is ours.
We continue on page 272 with the prayer for our country, led by Jeff Pass.
God of holiness, we hear your message. Justice, justice, you shall pursue. God of freedom, we hear your charge. Proclaim liberty throughout the land. Inspire us through your teachings and commandments to love and uphold our precious democracy. Let every citizen take responsibility for the rights and freedoms we cherish. Let each of us be an advocate for justice, an activist for liberty, a defender of dignity, and let us champion the values that make our nation a haven for the persecuted, a beacon of hope among the nations. May our actions reflect compassion for all people within our borders and abroad. May our leaders and officials embody the vision of our founders to form a more perfect union. Establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves and our posterity. We pray for courage and conscience as we aim to support our country's highest values and aspirations, the hard-won rights that define us as a people, the responsibilities that they entail. We pray for all who serve our country with selfless devotion in peace and in war, from fields of battle to clinics and classrooms, from government to the grassroots, all those whose noble deeds and sacrifices benefit our nation and our world. We are grateful for the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that our founders ascribed to you, our Creator. We pray for their wisdom and moral strength, that we may be guardians of these rights for ourselves and for the sake of all people, now and forever.
Shalom, Shana Tova. May you have a wonderful, healthy, sweet New Year. My name is Hillel Newman, and I'm the Consul General of Israel here in Los Angeles, representing the State of Israel to the Pacific Southwest. To the dear communities of San Gabriel, Pomala Valleys, and Inland Empire Jewish communities, our greetings and best wishes to all of you. In these uncertain times, Rosh Hashanah provides an opportunity for us to feel stability in our faith and return to the values of our family and community. My friends, Rosh Hashanah is a time in our tradition of solemn reflection, where we think back on the triumphs and the tragedies of the past year. This past year has not been easy. We have suffered the implications of COVID-19, which has brought with it sickness, unemployment, and even death. We've also seen a rise in anti-Semitism and hate crimes. Jews have been attacked even on the streets of Los Angeles. And we have also witnessed a surge in radicalism, with the takeover of Afghanistan by the Taliban and attacks of the Hamas against the citizens of Israel. But this has also been an unbelievable year of inspiration. We have witnessed incredible innovation and ingenuity with the invention of the vaccinations and many fields of innovation, many of them born in Israel. And we have also witnessed the signing of the Abraham Accords, forging diplomatic relations between the State of Israel and an additional 4 Arab countries. So let's look back and get the inspiration of the past year. I see it also as a year of human resilience and human spirit. My friends, I know that we have a deep relationship, and I thank you for your ongoing support of the State of Israel. Let's build on the foundation, the strong foundation that we have, and enhance and expand our relations as much as possible in the next year. And let's all remember, Kol Yisrael Arevim Ze Lazeh. We should all support each other. Shana Tova.
We continue on page 274 with the prayer for the State of Israel.
Avinu Shebashamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'goalo, Barechet Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Tzmichat Geulatenu, Avinu Shebashamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'goalo, Barechet Medinat Yisrael, Smicha Gulatenu.
Avinu Shebashamayim, you who are high above all nations, states, and peoples, Rock of Israel, the one who has saved us and preserved us in life, bless the State of Israel, first flowering of our redemption. Be her loving shield, a shelter of lasting peace. Guide her leaders and advisors by your light of truth. Instruct them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who build and protect our holy land. Deliver them from danger. Crown their efforts with success. Grant peace to the land, lasting joy to all her people. And together we say, Amen.
Avinu Shebashamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'goalo, Amen, Amen, Selah, Amen, Amen, Selah, Amen.
Page 276, we return to a past Rosh Hashanah as we return the Torah to the Ark.
Hallelujah, Shem Adonai, Ki nizkar shemo levado. Hodo ha'eretz v'shamayim, hayarem keren le'amo, tehillah le'or tzidkah, lifnei Yisrael am yerovo. Hallelujah.
Second line, top of page 221.
We continue at the top of page 284 as we prepare for the sounding of the shofar.
Tekiah, Shivarim Teruah, Tekiah, Tekiah, Shivarim, Tekiah, Tekiah, Teruah, Tekiah Gedolah.
We continue on the bottom of page 285. I would like to invite our president, Laura Zuckerman, to share some announcements with you.
Thank you to Rabbi Kupitz and Cantor Bush for leading us in today's very special service. We sincerely appreciate the many hours of hard work and all the creativity that went into making today's service religiously and spiritually uplifting. Thank you to Dr. Randy Polivoy, violinist Rachel Wong, for your beautiful music, and Dr. Ruth Charloff and the choir for all your efforts leading our High Holy Day worship music and providing so many special moments that we were able to include in our virtual service. Thanks to our shofar choir, Larry King, Don Pollock, Chris Gacci, Steve Rubenstein, and Al Shapiro. Thank you to Stephanie Cuba for sharing her unique personal story in the context of asking all of us to support our critical High Holy Day appeal. Thank you to all the Torah readers and their families from years past for participating in today's service. As well, thank you to video editor Claudia Gonzalez and Don Pollock, Sammy Bush, and Eli Kupitz for helping to make these services possible. I'd especially like to thank Jay Eisenberg, our Vice President for Administration, Sally Loeb, our Administrator, and Beth Parker, our Administrative Assistant, for all the dozens and dozens of hours of hard work in the last few months for pulling this all together for us. The Family Tefillah service begins at 2 p.m. this afternoon. All Zoom links have been sent to congregants who have sent in their annual commitment. It will also be available on Facebook and YouTube. This afternoon at 4 o'clock, please join us for Tashlich, the symbolic casting away of our transgressions, and a very special shofar service created by the rabbi and cantor. We will be at Red Hill Park in Rancho Cucamonga at 4 o'clock. We will be observing social distance, and we will all be masked. Please join us to be with our TBI family and to be part of this very special High Holy Day observance. Also, I hope you will join us for Kol Nidre on Wednesday, September 15th at 7:30. L'Shana Tova, Tikatevu, may you be inscribed for a good year.
Aleinu L'Shabeach, please rise.
Aleinu L'Shabeach L'Adon Yaakov, L'Ateinu L'Yosef Reishit, Shelo Asanu Kiboyei Haratzon, Velo Samanu Kemishpechot Adama, Shelo Samtelchenu Kahem, Vegoraleinu Echol Hamonam, Vanachnu Chorim, Ubishtachalim Umodim, Limnei Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Bottom of page 44. We continue on page 291. Our thoughts turn to loved ones whom death has taken from us in recent days, and those who died at this season in years past. Our hearts open as well to the wider circle of loss in our community and wherever grief touches the human family. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing in this new year and always. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah.
Amen.
Bi'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agalau v'zman kariv v'imru amen.
Amen.
Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lomei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dukudashah b'richu. Le'ela ul'ela mikol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiram bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlam araba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen.
Hayom, 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 hayom tamseinu.
Amen.
Hayom, 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 Hayom tivarchenu. Amen. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom tigadleinu. Amen. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom tichenu l'tova. Amen. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom. Hayom tichavenu l'chaim tovim. Amen. Hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom tishma Shabbatenu. Amen. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom tikabel v'rachamim v'ratzon et tefilatenu. Amen. Last one. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom tidmechenu b'minin tzidkecha.
All I need from you is amens here. Strengthen us on this day. Amen. Bless us this day. Amen. Lift up our lives on this day. Amen. Grant us goodness today. Amen. Inscribe us for a good life on this day. Amen. Hear our heartfelt words today. Amen. On this day, receive our prayers with love. Amen. Fortify our best intentions. May we go forth today to do your righteous work.
Amen. Page 301. Tekiah Gedolah.
L'Shana Tova.
And clapping is encouraged. Nimba Riesen, euch guten Gott, L'Shana Tova, ein gut Jahr. Nimba Riesen, euch guten Gott, L'Shana Tova, ein gut Jahr. Wir begrüßen und wir wünschen alle Kinder euch und Gott, L'Shana Tova, Tingo Sevu. A good yor, the Shana Toiva, Tingo Sevu. A good yor. Tantes Mom, Mr. Franzen, Lord, the Shana Toiva, a good yor. Tantes Mom, Mr. Franzen, Lord, the Shana Toiva, a good yor. Tantes Mom, the Schwester, Brüder, den Freunden ganzen Dor, the Shana Toiva, Kol Yisrael. A good yor, the Shana Toiva, Kol Yisrael. A good yor.
Thank you so much for being with us. Immediately after this service, we have a High Holy Day Rosh Hashanah Shmooze. It's on a different Zoom link. We'll put the Zoom link in the chat, and it's also on your High Holy Day schedule. 2 p.m. children's service is online. It also will be archived for watching later. And at 4 p.m., we'd love to see you for Tashlich and the sounding of the shofar at Red Hill Park. L'Shana Tova.